1, 2, 3, let's go.
Wednesday afternoon. Oh,
what's going on, and they feel, well, is the manager going to go? Because they always want to know who they might have to impress next. It's their living, the footballers and so on. Yeah, I think Garnacho, if he goes abroad or even if he stays in this country, I think he can do well somewhere. And yeah, I think he's good. And I also notice he's quite good at completely changing the colour of his hair. He'll go blonde one week and then he'll go grey and then back to his native whatever it is.
Yeah.
As some of them do now. But yeah, I quite like him, and I'm a little bit surprised if he's not going to feature in the World Cup, because I mean, perhaps he's number 3 or 4 behind some other players. It's probably something like that, but it's still time for him to impress and get selected, so that's what he's got to look at it as.
Yeah. Now, if you was a manager, would you pick him? If you was a manager,
it would depend, wouldn't it, on what you've got available and what other players there are there. As I say, if you go back to, say, Cole Palmer as an example of the point I'm making, when he was at Manchester City, he was clearly a very good young player who was coming through, but he was like number 4 in the midfield list, so 4th or 5th in line with the players ahead of him. So he was never going to get, or so he thought, never going to get a real chance at shining there. So they let him go to Chelsea. And perhaps an example of staying there and hoping for the best might be O'Reilly in Manchester City. Now, he's a youngster. He's come through, and he's come through at a time when they've had other players leaving and a change of personnel generally, which the manager is, which Pep is overseeing. But he's excellent, and I put him in the same category as Palmer, really. He's got that about him, but he's being given a chance. He's starting most games. He's scoring goals. He got 2, didn't he, the other day against Arsenal? I think he scored both the goals. So he's going to be an exciting young player to watch. So again, you never know. So I can't really answer your question without knowing what Garnacho or who he's up against in the the league table of which players are in front of him. If they made it clear they're not going to pick him, then that would suggest to me it's not because they think, well, he's not good enough. So I think he can rise to the occasion like players can, and I think he's got the basic ability. I think it's more they think, well, we've got 3 or 4 players in front of him, so we're not going to bother to let him think for a moment he's going to get selected. So without knowing all the facts, it's hard to comment. But in the absence of players in front of him, I think I will pick him, because I think he's got that something about him which can be unpredictable, which is clearly an advantage, an asset of any footballer. Don't be too predictable.
Yeah. I mean, that certainly just throws more light on it, don't it? The way that you've explained it, it depends on what's available. Maybe that's maybe that's probably why he isn't picked. Yeah. Right. Okay. So, I read first that, and then I read something else again. So, the first thing that I read about Zinedine Zidane was that he was going to be picked as the next manager for France. Now, I then read further on that he's going to be replacing the present one only after the World Cup.
All right.
So that's thrown me off balance a little bit, because I thought, well, if he's going to be the manager for the World Cup, maybe he's a
say hello to old Mimi, Dr. Gladys and Rose, 3 beautiful ladies who join us on our shows. There's one other bro, sometimes joins us on the show.
Maybe it's a little bit too little too late for
Absolutely
in time for the preparations. But then when I saw that he was going to then take over after the World Cup, I thought, okay, that makes sense. But it still poses another dilemma there. The dilemma is, what if, and I'm hoping not, I hope not, but what if France then puts up a good performance, and a performance so good that, you know, it then puts them in a difficult situation? Because, for instance, if France goes on to then win the World Cup, what would then happen then to his job? It's like it's a done deal. We're having him after the World Cup. But I think they might be hoping that the present manager does a really rubbish job. That way it can be justifiable then. But what if?
Yeah, now, I mean, I don't know how long the present guy has been there. I think it's a few years. I can picture him. I can't remember his name. But, yeah, France are always a fairly powerful team. They've won the World Cup. They've won the Euros more than once. So they've always been a good team with a good pool of players to choose from. So much depends, in a saying, how I would comment on what you've said, on how long he's been there. And I, too, have read that he's going to be the manager there. And I didn't for a moment think it would be before the World Cup, because I think it would be, as you said, far too late to suddenly step into the shoes of someone who's been there for quite a while and expect to get the team playing as you want them to play in the biggest tournament in international football. So it makes absolute sense to do it afterwards. But another factor to this is kind of what we touched on about Serena Wiegman. I don't know what successes the current manager has had. I don't think France have won either of the two big tournaments in recent times, by which I mean in the last 9 or 10 years. So clearly this is going to be, you know, what he's aiming for, to win the World Cup. And the fact of the matter is, it's what I said about Serena. If France were to be brilliant, and they could be, and go through to the final and win, I think that's exactly the time a manager who's been there for not necessarily like an Alex Ferguson length of time, but maybe for 5 years even, he will have achieved, okay, he's not won the Euros, but if he wins the World Cup, he will have achieved the pinnacle of what most international managers would see as, you know, everything. And really the trouble is, if you win that as a man.
Say hello to old Mimi, Dr. Gladys and Rose, 3 beautiful ladies who join us on our shows. There's one other bro, sometimes joins us on